May we request everyone to please rise and face BRP to Bataha for the national anthem.
Bayang magiliw, pero sa silanganan, alab ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyan ka lang magiting, sa manlulupi, di ka pasisiin. Sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mo baghang, may dilagang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang kislap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagdidinig, ang bituin at araw niyang kailan, pag may di magdidilim. Lupa ng araw ng hatid pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang di kaya na pa may mga apit, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Thank you. Thank you. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, barko ng Republika ng Pilipinas to Bataha is now officially commissioned in the service of the Philippine Coast Guard. At this juncture, Lieutenant Commander Lisel Bautista, the Coast Guard Adjutant, will read the designation orders.
Philippine Coast Guard, Headquarters Philippine Coast Guard, 139 25th Street, Port Area, 1018, Manila. Pursuant to Headquarters Philippine Coast Guard, General Orders Number 263, dated 12 October 2016, Section 2, Designation, Captain Roy A. Echeverria, O-11312 Philippine Coast Guard, designated as Commanding Officer, MRRV 4401, Barko ng Republika ng Pilipinas to Bataha, effective this date, by command of Rear Admiral Melad, Official Commodore Atelo L. Ibanez, PCG, Acting Chief of Coast Guard Staff, Lieutenant Commander Lisel B. Bautista, PCG, Coast Guard Adjutant.
The Commanding Officer, Captain Roy Chabiria, will now read his assumption orders.
Pursuant to Section 2, General Orders Number 263, Headquarters Philippine Coast Guard, I hereby assume all duties and responsibilities as Commanding Officer, MRRV 4401, Barko ng Republika ng Pilipinas to Bataha, effective this date, and I sign in your presence.
Captain Echeverria will now report his assumption of duties and responsibilities to the Commandant, who will then order the manning of the ship and setting the first watch. At this instance, the officers and crew proceed to the ship on the double, rendered standard boarding courtesy, and man the rail. The first two personnel to board will automatically act as duty petty officer of the watch and gangway watch. The commanding officer of the ship shall be accorded his first honor aboard his vessel. As a commanding officer, he has assumed the identity of Lighthouse to Bataha. His arrival is dignified by the announcement over the ship's public address system of the word to Bataha aboard, as well as piping by the duty petty officer as he embarks and disembarks his ship. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, the ship is manned and ready. Barko ng Republika ng Pilipinas to Bataha is now ready to sail and perform Coast Guard missions and fulfill Coast Guard mandate. The addition of the ship in the PCG's inventory will boost the Coast Guard modest capability and strengthen our relentless campaign in maritime safety, marine environmental protection, and maritime security. Likewise, the ship will be deployed to support the anti-illegal drugs campaign of the President. We'll go after piracy, smuggling, illegal fishing, and other forms of lawlessness in our country's vast sovereign waters. Muli po, palakpakan natin ang barko ng Republika ng Pilipinas to Bataha. At this juncture, ladies and gentlemen, may we request Japan Ambassador to the Philippines, Kazuhide Ichikawa, to say a few words.
President Rodrigo Duterte, Commandant William Mellard, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure and honor to join this auspicious ceremony and to extend my heartfelt congratulations on the turnover and commissioning of BLP to Bataha. To Bataha is the first of 10 multi-role response vessels financed and built by Japan for the Maritime and Safety Capability Improvement Project for the Philippine Coast Guard. This project aims to improve the PCG's capabilities to quickly address maritime operations such as patrol, search and rescue, and law enforcement. As demonstrated by this Bataha vessel, we see so many significant developments in our relations. In the summit meeting between President Duterte and Prime Minister Abe, held on September 6 in Vientiane, Laos, the two leaders had wonderful discussion on a wide range of issues, including the importance of the rule of law. They also confirmed that they will strengthen the cooperation to resolve disputes in a peaceful manner based on international law. In addition, at the summit meeting, Prime Minister Abe announced his intention to provide a new yen loan for the construction of 2 larger patrol ships. This year, we are celebrating the 60th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the Philippines and Japan. Last January, as you recall, Their Majesties Emperor and Empress visited the Philippines as state guests. This visit surely elevated our strong friendship to a much higher level. Later this month, President Duterte is scheduled to visit Japan. On this occasion, two leaders will further discuss ways to enhance friendship, ranging from peace and security, fight against terrorism, economic cooperation such as infrastructure development, and people-to-people exchanges. I boarded the Bataha last month, and I'm convinced that the Bataha is a great symbol of friendship between Japan and the Philippines. I would like to conclude my remarks by saying that we will work together with the government of the Philippines to further deepen our strong relations. Thank you very much, and mabuhay.
Thank you, Ambassador. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, we will now proceed to the presentation of awards.
As traditionally done, the PCG had evaluated and determined the performance of its personnel and operating units that produced the best for the year to be recognized during its annual anniversary celebration. In addition, partner agencies are recognized for their unwavering and valuable services rendered to the PCG. We also pay tribute to the fishermen and ship owners who lent their helping hand rescuing people in distress. At this juncture, may we request President Duterte to present the awards.
and the Commandant Philippine Coast Guard, Rear Admiral William M. Melad, PCG, to assist the President.
Presentation of awards. Department of Transportation, Punong Himpilan, Tanod Baybayin ng Pilipinas, 139 23 Street, Port Area, Manila. Pursuant to General Orders Number 34, the award of the Outstanding Achievement Medal is hereby awarded to Commodore Danilo Ubaldo, PCG, Commander of the Coast Guard Internal Affairs Service, for being a staunch guardian of discipline and for initiating the formulation of the PCG Code of Conduct and Discipline. May we also request Mrs. Ubaldo to join in the presentation of award, ma'am?
For having been adjudged as the Philippine Coast Guard Non-Officer of the Year, the plaque of recognition is hereby given to Petty Officer First Class Manuel Z. Buwado Jr., Philippine Coast Guard of the Coast Guard District Northeastern Luzon. Petty Officer First Class Buwado will receive an incentive equivalent to his 1-month base pay.
For having been adjudged as the non-uniformed personnel of the year, the plaque of recognition is presented to Mrs. Mila B. Gorizeta of Coast Guard District, Western Visayas. Mrs. Gorizeta, in addition to his award, will receive an incentive equivalent to her 1-month salary pay. Congratulations, ma'am.
For having been adjudged as the Lighthouse Keeper of the Year, the plaque of recognition is presented to Lighthouse Keeper 2 Nicanor A. Cloa of Coast Guard District Central Visayas. Mr. Cloa will also receive an incentive equivalent to his 1-month salary pay.
Unit awards. At this point, we will now proceed to the conferment of awards to the Coast Guard Station of the Year, Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie, and the Substation of the Year. The classification of these units is based on the volume of maritime traffic in their respective regions. The PCG has 12 regional districts, 72 stations, and 180 substations situated in the different coastal regions nationwide. They are the frontliners in the field performing the mandates of the Philippine Coast Guard.
For having been adjudged as the Coast Guard Station Class Alpha of the Year, the plaque of recognition is hereby given to Coast Guard Station Manila of the Coast Guard District National Capital Region, Central Luzon. Receiving the award is the Acting Station Commander of Coast Guard Station Manila, Captain Rodolfo S. Villo, 1, Philippine Coast Guard.
For having been adjudged as the Coast Guard Station Class Bravo of the Year, the plaque of recognition is hereby given to Coast Guard Station San Fernando of the Coast Guard District Northwestern Luzon. Receiving the award is Station Commander of the Coast Guard Station San Fernando, Captain Arturo Alemani, Philippine Coast Guard.
For having been adjudged as the Coast Guard Station Class Charlie of the Year, the plaque of recognition is hereby given to Coast Guard Station Sual of Coast Guard District Northwestern Luzon. Receiving the award is the Station Commander of Coast Guard Station Sual, Lieutenant Alexander P. Corpuz, Philippine Coast Guard.